Get in
I
the
am
game
ready to
here.
rock.
I mean, we
Yeah,
are
let's
ready.
do this.
We've been ready.
We're ready. Yeah, here we are. It's the Terror Show. We have so much going on. So excited to be here today. Dublin and Devlin, bringing the magic. Oh my goodness, it's the Terror
Boom.
Show. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. Here we go. Oh,
And we got
my
another Tara here,
goodness.
too.
Oh my God, Tara Jr. joining the Tara Show, because it's all Tara for a whole hour.
Only Tara's allowed.
TNT, it's dynamite. Oh my goodness. Things are happening. It's an exciting time to be alive,
Isn't
is
it?
not?
It's exhausting time.
Today's episode is brought to us by the letter E. E for Epstein files, and E for E. Jean Carroll. Yes, yes, yes. E. Jean Carroll will be our guest on the Terror Show. We're going to talk about this again at the end of the show, probably, maybe sporadically throughout, because I've been waiting since 1993 to have a real conversation with E. Jean Carroll. We're mutual followers on Twitter for a while now, but this will be my first time getting to speak. And we're going to get about a half an hour with her on Thursday.
Yes.
And I have made copious notes with, of course, hot pink Post-its because it's E. Jean. So.
Yeah, so that'll be Thursday.
That'll be Thursday. But today, kids, the same guy who can't stop talking about losing the 2020 election, the same guy who keeps going after Hillary Clinton, the same guy he just doesn't understand why people want to keep talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Devlin, are you amazed that people are still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Because Donald Trump seems taken aback.
It's incredible. Well, that's how it's a tell. That's how we know he's in the Epstein list files, whatever that he's trying to hide. Yeah,
the Epstein files.
He's the star of the show, of the Epstein show. And we were just talking off air that if it were Bill Clinton, we're just as eager to find that out too, even though Virginia Dupree, may she rest in peace, testified that yes, she saw Bill Clinton, but he wasn't involved in any of the sex trafficking or any of the other nefarious activities going on. And she has nothing to lose by hiding that. I mean, like she went after Prince Andrew. She was honest about everything else. Why would she? Right. And anyway, it's if he was in the Epstein files, I want to see that. But we know that's not the problem. It's the fact that Trump is all over the place. Yes.
Yes. And let us make some points that cannot be disputed here, shall we? First and foremost, Jeffrey Epstein was always identified as a financier. A millionaire. Was he ever a billionaire? I'm not sure. But a millionaire financier. Here's what I'm going to say. You don't make millions of dollars just by sex trafficking little girls.
That's right.
You have to have a legitimate business so that you can sex traffic little girls on the DL, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to have a public face, like, I don't know, a John Gotti, who would claim to be a legitimate businessman, but he works in construction. Hey.
Exactly.
Yeah, he works in construction in that he buried people under cement, okay? So Jeffrey Epstein was a financier in the same way that Donald Trump is a golfer, in that that's not really what he's known for. So it's true that Jeffrey Epstein ran a legitimate business, and people who are registered Democrats did legitimate business with him. He helped them make money, or they did investments or whatever. And yes, they took trips. And as you said, there does not seem to exist any legitimate information putting Bill Clinton in a sexual situation, in a rapey situation.
No.
Non-consensual, underage, nothing that comes close to what we know about Donald Trump. Nothing. If there were, we'd hold him accountable like we held Michael Avenatti and John Edwards and even Gary Hart accountable.
That's
we
right.
do that as Democrats, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
There are photographs of Trump partying with Epstein. There is video of Trump partying with Epstein. There are multiple quotes of Trump talking about Epstein, how they have so much in common. In fact, one of those things is that they both happen to like girls a little on the younger side. There is evidence that Donald Trump immediately told Jeffrey Epstein about raping E. Jean Carroll in Burgdorf. Wow. And that is in her book. It was not introduced as evidence during the trial because it would be difficult to prove hearsay, and also Jeffrey Epstein's name is so explosive that most likely Judge Kaplan would have not allowed it to have been entered into evidence, which they didn't even really need, turns out, because there's not a direct line between Epstein and E. Jean. There's just Donald Trump in common. So repeatedly, over and over again, we have said on this show, on other PVN shows, on your show, in my blogs, in my tweets, when I share the excerpt of witness testimony from the Epstein files that was released last year that the media fully ignored. We say it over and over and over again. Here it is. Here is proof. Here is testimony that Donald Trump raped little girls procured for him by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. There is evidence, and it's very specific evidence. It's not just, oh, he raped me. It is incredibly detail-oriented.
It's disgusting. Yeah.
It's vile. And for anyone thinking that I made it up when I recorded the excerpt a year ago after Ron DeSantis had a Florida judge declassify that cache of witness testimony, as talented a writer as I may be, as evidenced by The Sound of Settling, which you can buy right now at TaraDublinRocks.com, this brain, as creative as it is, could never have come up with the hideous details, the heinous details, the unthinkable, the unimaginable.
Yep.
I personally, when in that excerpt, I describe what Donald Trump did to Katie Johnson and Maria Doe, who were 12 and 13 at the time. 12 and 13. 12.
Right.
Think about we're 12.
Katie Johnson, yes. She's the civil lawsuit filed in 2016. Right.
I, at the age of 12, had not gotten my period yet. I had not entered true puberty yet. I did not know what a blowjob was when I was 12. And reading that testimony where Donald Trump smacks them both in the face because neither of them gave him a good blowjob at 12, 13, and then refused to wear a condom when he raped them.
Well, that's what Stormy said too. Yeah, he doesn't like wearing condoms.
Right?
How interesting.
Well, probably because he can't find one small enough to cap the mushroom. So,
thanks for the nightmares.
Well, but you have to get, I want to get into the weeds with those details because when you hear details, it's really not hard to imagine the specifics of them. And what we know is that he raped them without a condom, and when they cried afterwards because they had just been raped by a giant man without a condom, they were worried about getting pregnant, and he threw cash at them and said, get a fucking abortion.
Oh, God.
That's verbatim testimony.
Wow.
I could not have made that up, even knowing what we know about Trump.
Well, he's disgusting.
Never have made that
and I was going to call him a pig, but that's an offense to pigs. But
Well, pigs are smart animals.
Yeah, they're charming and intelligent, and they would never treat other pigs like... And in fact, they have contributed more to humanity and society than any Trump could ever, except for Mary Trump, could ever hope to in a million lifetimes. And but yes, I mean it rings true, of course, because and everything in E. Jean Carroll's book too. What strikes me is that, and I think I told you the story that I have also. It's hearsay, of course, because I heard it from my friend. Told me a story about her friend who. She knows her from a sorority. The woman is rich, and they they went to school together. She travels in wealthy New York circles. Okay, and when that came out, when the Access Hollywood tape came out, this is in 2016. When she and my friend told me, all right, so this is my friend telling me, her friend said, it's totally true. It happened to me. They were at a thing, and for whatever, she has her husband, and for whatever reason, she found herself alone in the kitchen with Donald Trump, And before she knew it, he jumped on her like he says, I moved on her like a bitch. I grabbed her by the pussy. I don't even think. I just start kissing.
I just kissed.
Yeah, that's what he did to this woman. And she was like, get the fuck off me. And then she said that Melania walked in the room and then he backed off. But she doesn't give a shit. That's what the woman who is my friend's friend said, that, Melania is well aware of what he is and she doesn't care.
She's probably glad. That
exactly. It's somebody else. It's not her.
Women.
Exactly.
And we saw that on July 4th when they were on the balcony at the White House, and he's like, "Come here," and she's like, "Get the fuck off me." Is basically her whole body language. And in E. Jean's book, over and over again, she gives a lot of space to the women who testified against Trump that we never hear about. No one ever talked about, like, Natasha Stoyanov's testimony, and it's every single woman who showed up to testify on E. Jean's behalf, who had been assaulted by Trump, who had been sexually assaulted. Some of them escaped being raped, but they were sexually assaulted by him, physically assaulted. They all tell the same story. He connived to get us alone in a room, and then before I knew it, he had me up against a wall, and I was pushing him away. Every single one.
That's right.
Every single one.
That's his move.
Right. There was the story that Lisa Birnbach, the writer, tells. If you don't know who Lisa Birnbach is, she's most famous for writing the Preppy Handbook, but she's written dozens of books. She's E. Jean's best friend. She was the first person E. Jean called after Trump raped her at Burgdorf's. She was the one who said, Trump raped you. She's the one who said the word rape first. So Lisa Birnbach's testimony is, again, just repeats the same. It's the same MO every single time. And she describes, even after she knew about E. Jean being raped, she was writing a book about Trump, or writing an article, and had to go to Mar-a-Lago. And they were doing a photo shoot for the article by the pool. And there was a point where Melania went to change clothes, and Trump said, you know what, I need to show you this room. We have this really great room here in Mar-a-Lago. Let me show it to you. It's a great room. It's great. It's great. And Lisa Birnbach's okay. And they go in this room, and they turn around, and he's got her up against a wall. So, it happens over and over and over again. And then, like a butler walked in, and saying Melania's ready, and that's when Trump took his hands off. It's just like, what?
And then he acts like nothing happened, and Melania comes in, and she's like, and the woman is just taken aback because what the fuck just happened, and Melania's just they have to act like nothing happened.
Every woman is like, well, I don't know what to do now. And now, of course, if it happened now, it would be a totally different response post Me Too. But even post Me Too, E. Jean was hesitant, right? And even then, because it is, I didn't do anything then. I didn't do anything, and we see it over and over again. I really encourage everybody to read the book. Devlin listened to it on tape, which means you get the richness of E. Jean's voice reading the language that she has. She has a very unique way of using the English language that is just the descriptions of human beings, the way she puts it together. Describing Alina Haba Esquire over and over again. Alina Haba Esquire over and over again. Her first description, her cheekbones like pickleball paddles. I mean, I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
I put this book down because I was laughing so much. Again. Many, many notes. But
the way she turns a phrase, it's amazing. And she's just such a hero, really. That's all that I kept thinking of, too. This is a lone woman standing up to this effing powerful baboon with an army of enablers behind him who clearly his entire life thought that he is above the law, and he has been. Now it's only gotten worse.
Right. But his lawyers never do him any favors. Never once. In fact, they end up helping E. Jean's case more than Trump's case. And there is a point late in the book where she starts asking, is Joe Tacopina trying to help me here? Is he throwing this case? Because there's just so much overwhelming, compelling evidence.
Well, what are you going to say, Trump. How could he even defend that? That's the other thing. I know that everyone deserves a defense, but the way that they were attacking her, it's right out of every other rape case in history. right?
It's
actually,
all, yeah,
what were you wearing? What did you flirt? Did you scream? Right? It's all the same. Yeah.
They spend hours on the why didn't you scream? And any woman who's unfortunately been in a situation like that, screaming isn't your first thought. Your first thought is, how do I get him the fuck off of me?
Yeah.
I need to get him off of me. And then once you get him off of you, then you can get away.
Well, think it's Donald Trump. You know, you're 2 seconds earlier, they're having a nice little exchange, a nice, you know, funny New York moment. And yeah.
And that over and over again, and they subpoenaed the people who were working at Burgdorf at the time, and over the employees say the lingerie floor was pretty much always abandoned. The dressing room doors were always left open and the people who worked there hated the fact that the dressing room doors were always left open, but it was also well known that the dressing rooms at Burgdorf's were a great place to have a lunchtime assignation. So, but that there were no security cameras, and even if E. Jean had screamed, there would be no one on the floor to have heard her. There was no one on the floor. So even if she screamed, even if she ran downstairs and told security, at that time, in that situation, in that culture, it's he said, she said, and Donald Trump he's not the president, but he's a real estate quote unquote tycoon.
He's got enough money to bury her. Exactly.
Right. And on the New York social scene, it just would have been bad form to say it loudly. It was whispered in hushed tones at cocktail parties. But then she gets invited to a party at Molly Jong-Fast's house and meets George Conway. And George Conway, within their conversation, suggests that Donald Trump can be sued in civil court. And therefore, here we are now. And the fact that there were 2 trials and he didn't testify the first time, and his testimony in the second one didn't help him either because he barely testified in the second one. And the whole time he's sitting at his table going, I don't know her. I never met her. I don't know who she is.
She's a kook. She's a lunatic. She's, you know, the same old
shit. She's a liar.
A liar.
I never met her. I never met her one over and over in where the jury can hear him saying it. And Robbie Kaplan stands up and she's like, Your Honor, the jury can hear him saying these things, but he's not under sworn testimony in the moment. He's just sitting at the table and he's saying, you know, and trying to silence him. And he's sitting there like a petulant child. So that's why he goes and yells to the press, because he can't do it in the courtroom. and he can't, I mean, his testimony is so limited because if they went any further, he would have perjured himself.
Well, he didn't really show up. A lot of times he would just stand outside.
Not the first one.
Yeah, outside the
One
courtroom. And
but
then
the second time.
Right, because he wasn't, you know, he was trying the case in the court of public opinion. He was trying it on truth, on, you know, on Tripe Social, where he'd say, I never met her. She's crazy. She's a kook. I never met her. She's crazy. I mean, I don't know where these fucking people, like, they can't come up with another defense where women are clamoring to become well known by being raped by somebody. In what world is that? You know, it's ridiculous.
Pointing out that people with very established reputations already, like Elisa Birnbach, like Carroll Martin, who's a New York journalist. She was on local TV news and one of E. Jean Carroll's best friends, had no desire to testify against Trump, but still did it. So there were plenty of other women who came forward who originally didn't want to. So, and they're in closing arguments, Robbie Kaplan is like, all of these women are conspiring to make him look bad, and it's he mentions all of, and in his testimony, and the court transcripts are part of the book. He uses the word hoax over and over again.
Oh, I know.
This hoax against me. There's this hoax against me. This hoax.
The Russia hoax. None of that is a hoax, by the way.
Ukraine hoax. Like, of course, nothing about
the Mueller hoax.
All true.
They're all true.
Right,
exactly.
Right. All of it.
It's
all
amazing.
of it is true. He plays the victim. So it's so sad and so transparent and so obvious to any thinking person. And so here we are in a moment, and it's just fortuitous timing, because she'll be able to speak to how he uses intimidation to keep people silent, how he uses his physicality as intimidation. And Eugene and I are part of a very small, exclusive club of women who have been brave enough to speak out against Donald Trump and have gotten a reaction.
Yeah, he saw your tweet, that's for sure.
Hey, I went hard on him in 2015, and he didn't like it, and he blocked me, and he has never unblocked me.
What a
Donnie
baby.
Donnie Thinskin is afraid of some lady on Twitter.
Yes.
Why would you ever think that person is fit to lead?
That's
aside,
the other thing.
You don't want to believe he's a rapist. That's on you. You don't want to believe he's a convicted felon. You're a moron. You don't want to think he's a pedophile because he was. You don't want to think about anything regarding him using the Lolita Express. He's afraid of a 5 foot tall, 105-pound woman.
Yes.
From Twitter.
Yes, he is. But that's what's so fascinating to me, though. And because it is what it is. A baboon is a baboon. Fish has got to swim, birds got to fly, but people don't have to enable it, right? But here we are. I don't understand. I don't understand. It's really gross.
We don't, because we're thinking people who have, a heart and a soul and a conscience, and we care when other people are hurt because, we have basic human compassion. They don't. And so it's incredibly frustrating because it's a very basic question. Why would Pam Bondi protect Democrats?
Right.
She wouldn't. She has nothing to gain by
protecting But why wouldn't Prince she,
Andrew,
though? This is the world they have created for us, where it's like, oh, it's a Democrat judge. It's a Democrat. You know what I mean? Like this, everything. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of them. And I'm actually going to write something today for Political Voices Network on the Substack about how I'm just sick of them. And it's time, like they have been at war with us. The red states have been at war with the rest of the country for decades. And it's true. It's a war of, words. It's a war of misinformation. And they have, no decency. As you could see, we are blue states, as everybody knows. I mean, you see the consequences in Texas right now of what Republican policies bring to the table. They always make things worse. They destroy things. They hurt people. They cause more needless death. And yet, they don't even have the manners, the decency, the maturity to say thanks. And we were talking about this the other day with Lisa Murkowski, her vote against, the United States, like destroying Medicare and all that. Right. And whereas Alaska is the most federally dependent state in the entire nation. So that's the thanks we get, right?
That's right. And getting the truth to the MAGA cult is a near impossibility. And that's why I constantly ask them questions like, why would Pam Bondi protect Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
Why would Pam Bondi protect Prince Andrew? Why would Hillary Clinton be protected by Pam Bondi? If Hillary Clinton really was sex trafficking kids from a pizza restaurant in Baltimore, if that really happened,
wow, I know.
It's just the stupidest, most ludicrous thing.
It's crazy.
So I and it's just over and over again. You have to go back and ask them, parse it down to the most simple. So before we went on the air, I was telling Devlin about this guy that trolled me yesterday about the Epstein files. And his counter argument was a photo of Elon Musk with Ghislaine Maxwell. That's your counter argument.
See. You still have that up there, I guess? Sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. No, if you go to my Twitter is all Epstein files right now, pretty much. If I'm not bragging about interviewing Eugene, I'm talking about Epstein files today.
Okay.
So within this is a guy who responded to one of my tweets about how Pam Bondi's not protecting Democrats, because why would she? And I keep including the video that I recorded of me reading that testimony, because MAGA doesn't read, and it's worse when you hear it, what Trump did. And this guy's response was bullshit. And a picture of Ghislaine Maxwell with Elon Musk. And I was like, yeah, you really did something tiny, and responded with pictures of Donald Trump with Melania and Jeffrey and Ghislaine Maxwell at a party, and quotes about Trump saying, we like all the same, we like younger women. And it's just, the evidence is overwhelming that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were besties forever. And they keep bringing out that old line about Trump banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. They manufactured a falling out.
I mean, are they so 100% easily
bullshit.
Played? It is.
It's crap.
God.
Give me a fucking break. First the story was, oh, he hit on the daughter of a member at Mar-a-Lago. No, he didn't. Oh, it was a land dispute. Big, no, shut the fuck up. They never had a falling out.
I know they didn't. After the fact.
God, okay. Let's stop here for 1 second. Because you're here. Yeah, stop right there. Those little girls, those twins that were missing, they are 8 years old.
They're missing from the flood.
They were missing from the flood. And this story is very important to me personally, because those little girls are the daughters of my brother's partner. My brother is a partner in a major law firm that has offices across the United States. And a couple of months ago, he and his wife, my sister-in-law, flew to Dallas to meet some partners from the Dallas office, including the parents of these sweet little girls.
Oh, no.
And they had a wonderful dinner and a wonderful experience. And then the other day I got a text from my mother saying, that they were missing. They have an older sister who is 14, and
they didn't make it. These
two little girls' bodies have both hurt. They found one and found the other, and it's so devastating. And it's devastating for a bazillion reasons. In our family, because our family has a connection to the Lawrence family. Our family also has twin little girls. My nieces, Lacey and Maddie, are twins who are about to turn 13. The two older girls, all four of them go to sleepaway. Well, the oldest one doesn't go anymore, but the second oldest one is a counselor, and the two younger ones, they go to sleepaway camp every summer in the Catskills. It's a very similar situation, and the layout of Camp Mystic, if no one has seen a schematic, and this is very common at campgrounds and sleepaway camps and whatever, in that the older kids are separated from the youngers, and they have their counselors that stay with them. At Camp Mystic, the older girls area was on just a little bit of higher ground, a little bit up a path from where the younger girls were on lower ground. And so the girls who were in the lower camp were genuine sitting ducks, and just horrific to think about. And of course, no one claiming responsibility, because
this is the party of
warning systems. And there are
party of personal
stories
responsibility. Never takes responsibility. Go ahead. Yeah.
They're claiming warning systems were in place, but at the same time, those warnings came at 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. and 2 a.m, and when everyone is asleep, and not in time.
Well, this is when the planes come falling out of the sky. There are significant reductions in staffing and funding for everything that matters. And the National Weather Service, National Weather Service, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Right. This is that's the deep state. Everybody, you got to get rid of them. You need your bootstraps, I suppose.
I don't know, but fucking Chuck Todd is out there both sidesing this shit.
Are you kidding me?
Democrat.
Oh no,
of course not.
No. What did he say?
Honestly, I just you have to look at both sides.
Both sides.
And our buddy Malcolm Nance was like, eat a dick, Chuck, because Democrats didn't make these cuts.
No.
Democrats didn't make these cuts. And Democrats didn't roll back these protections.
No.
And it's just like, honestly, I really want to almost petition Merriam-Webster to change the definition of mediocrity to just a picture of Chuck Todd. Because anybody who's not going to place blame on this current murderous administration.
No. This is the problem.
I don't want to know about it.
Exactly.
This is the problem. You let them get away with little things, and then you let them get away with big things, which is why we hold them. This is why we're here, because when the mainstream media lets everything slide, we don't. Where is the mainstream media on the Epstein shit? Why weren't they playing that video that I've recorded and shared? I don't know how many times since
well,
it
let me
came out
ask
last
you.
year.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, though. If, let's say, Bill Clinton were in the Epstein files and that were released, do you think that they would pay a little bit more attention to it? I do. The corporate media would be on that.
They would.
Yeah.
Or if Joe Biden was in it. Oh, no.
Oh, forget it. Forget it.
Or if Joe Biden made cuts to the NOAA.
Right.
Or if Joe Biden said he hated Republicans.
Oh, and I also, Oh, that's right. Half the country. If Joe Biden said he hates half the country. And I just want to make, just to put another point on it, that the Texas legislature, of course, controlled by these maggots, they rejected a bill earlier this year that would have improved disaster warning systems and emergency funding, response funding. So, this is
where was Ted Cruz?
This is what I'm talking about.
Ted Cruz?
The
when
Republican
these
chickens
were drowning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know where he was?
No, was he in Cancun?
Vacation.
Yeah.
Not in Cancun this time. This time he was in Greece. He was in
Always.
Greece on vacation.
I'm surprised.
With his little wheelie bag while these little girls were dying. That's where Ted Cruz was. And Greg Abbott couldn't care less.
Of course. And they'll vote for him again. This is what gets me.
Of course they do. They have a death Jones because death is profitable.
Well, that's what really, after the Sandy Hook massacre of toddlers, babies, kids, not babies, I guess, young people.
I mean,
it doesn't really.
4-year-olds, 5-year-olds.
Yeah, 4-year-olds, right? But that the people of Uvalde thanked or supported their neighbors by voting yet again for I was going to say Chuck Todd for the same old Republicans that made what's his name? Greg Abbott. You just said it. Yeah. That this Greg Abbott asshole who was one of these, too soon when they were trying to get some answers out of him, never did a damn thing to help or protect children from being massacred in schools, and it will continue. But that always got me when I think about the rest of the country. This is why we have to not let them off the hook, because something has to shake them awake eventually, I would think, because we should have more compassion for each other. How can you support, say, my thoughts and prayers, and then vote for the same monsters that put these policies in place? I don't know what I would do if I was one of those parents. I don't know how I could survive that. And then for the neighbors to do that, to vote for them again, you can't even Yeah. It's just,
and
to
Mike
me,
Johnson
it's so horrible.
Mike Johnson saying, well, all we can do now is pray. Fuck you and your invisible sky daddy.
Oh my God.
Pray what? That these little girls are going to be undrowned? Where's God? Where's your fucking God?
I don't need you to pray. I need legislation.
100%.
Go if you want to be a prayer. Go and do your prayers. Go be a freaking priest. Don't be a goddamn representative. But
keep your Jesus freak bullshit out of my government. By the way, do you happen to know where Ted Cruz was on the day where Uvalde parents were burying their children? Do you know where he was that day? He was playing celebrity poker.
Oh, that's right.
Tweeted he was having a ridiculously fun time while Uvalde parents were burying their slaughtered children.
Oh my God.
Never ever tell me that Republicans care about life. They do not.
No.
They do not. Ted Cruz is fucking playing celebrity fucking poker.
And doesn't have the decency to even, know his, just to have any compassion. How dare you?
I'm going to tell you right now, if I see
God.
Ted, do you think Ted Cruz is going to show up at these little girls' funeral?
No way. No way.
No. They have no basic human compassion. Donald Trump didn't even call Tim Walz after the Hortmans were assassinated.
Well, why would I?
And everybody else
Why would I
call him?
What a nightmare.
Did you see Joe Biden weeping? Did you see Joe Biden weeping by their caskets?
I know.
That's what
human compassion. They can't even muster it. They can't pretend to. And the disgrace of when I could, when you see, I did a video for the Political Voices Network of Obama, and when the House passed Obamacare, and everybody applauding, and then you see Johnson and their fellow Trumpanzees, and then Trump all applauding themselves, chanting USA, USA, for taking millions, taking the health care out of over 17 million Americans, making sure that they can no longer get health care. And I mean, what a dichotomy. I mean, it's like a tale of two of good and evil, really. How do you celebrate that?
It truly is good guys versus bad guys at its core, because I look at those little girls and it's the unimaginable.
These poor children.
Their parents. You don't have to be a parent to be devastated by this story, but all I could think of was my twin nieces. All I could think about was my own sons. I have a son who's about to go to grad school in Florida, which is the last place I would want him to go to grad school. However, and to keep him protected, I'm not going to say where, but not far from where the alligator Auschwitz is going to be. So it doesn't make me happy to think about him having proximity to alligator Auschwitz with these murderous idiots in charge, or driving by himself across this country not knowing what he might run into, because if we don't have birthright citizenship anymore, they can manufacture a reason to haul you off. So we're at a really scary time where people are being faced with it's not just about owning the libs on Twitter anymore, right? And it is, I think, long ago stopped being a Democrat versus Republican issue, but more of a human issue. One of the things that we can do, because we're not helpless and we're not hopeless, and that's one of the other reasons why we're here, is to, I know everything is scary and terrible, but we have things in our favor. And what we have in our favor is how vastly unpopular the big bullshit bill is, even among Republicans. It had a negative 21 approval rating on a poll on Fox News. So even right? And so I figure one of the things that we can do is do what Republicans do, and they steal our ideas and then ruin them, right?
Yes.
Because they think that, right? But what we do instead is we co-opt their stupidity and run with it. Like when they were doing the Dark Brandon stuff. Instead of being like, you're dang it. What happened? Joe Biden put on his sunglasses. Like,
I know.
So when they come up with stuff, what we need to do is use their own words against them to fight them. I think that's the best way. Use Donald Trump's own words against them to hold him accountable. This is what he said. We have him on video. This is what they did. We have it on video. Okay, fine. A lot of what's happening in the big bullshit bill has not been implemented yet because it's going to take time. Some of those things won't even come into fruition until 2027, after the 2026 midterms. So Republicans can try to blame all the bad shit that could happen in 2027 on Democrats. So here's what I'm going to ask here's an assignment. I want Democrats to have a brand new defining message. Someday maybe we'll get a Democratic press secretary or a shadow cabinet, but for now, remember when, and I know you remember when Mitch McConnell said that the Republicans' defining mission during the Obama administrations was repeal and replace Obamacare? Yes. Never had a plan to replace it. Just repeal and replace it because we hate black people, democracy, and a healthy population.
Yes, we hate sharing with brown people. That's the reason we don't have health care in this country.
Right, I don't want that. I don't want that. Socialism bad. Okay, so I want Democrats to say that we're going to repeal and replace the big bullshit bill.
Yeah, that has to be their defining message. All of them. Run on that.
There it is. Spread it, share it, make it stick.
Repeal and replace the big ugly bill. Yep.
Nobody wants it. Nobody wants the cuts that are in that bill except the people who are going to get richer from those cuts. That's the bottom line. The billionaires will be fine. The rest of us are fucked.
As always, I'm not okay with Republicans are in charge. That's the problem.
Right?
Yep.
So it's almost as if someone presented you with a Republican administration checklist. Have we entered a war in the Middle East? Mm-hmm. Have we Have we tanked the economy? Is the
Stock
dollar
market?
less valid? Yeah. Is the dollar weaker on the global stage? Are people losing things that they depended on to live? Yep. So again, Republicans are always the problem. Trickle-down economics doesn't work. So repeal and replace the big bullshit bill so that nobody loses their health care. Nobody loses their Social Security. Nobody loses their SNAP benefits. Please tell me how you're the pro-life party if you're trying to starve children.
Well, there's these, no, they're not, of course. And that's another thing that the Democrats drive me up a wall. They have to, because a lot of it, the both sidesism, a lot of that comes from the Democratic side. They're so eager to get, I guess, disaffected Republican votes. It's really annoying that, no, you're not going to alienate the disaffected Republican voter. That's a unicorn hunt. What you want to do is attract people to vote for your policies, which people want to vote for people that they think are fighting for them, that have the courage of their convictions. So just be honest and say the truth. This is who they are. And here's, don't believe me. Here's the chart. Remember when Reagan got up on national television with his bullshit charts and they were all, the Laffer curve and all that. But it was all, it was a chart to show how trickle down was going to trickle. Even the word trickle down is so. It's so denigrating. How much do you have to hate yourself? To be like, oh, I don't need a full drink of water, just a trickle. When you're like dying in the desert, give me a trickle. You don't even deserve a full glass. Just a trickle. Just flick. Fuck off.
To me, the word trickle is like when a man is finishing his work at a urinal and he's shaking off the last few drops.
It's a trickle.
We're getting trickled
it's
on.
It's so disparaging. It's so,
we're the soaked mattress that Donald Trump doesn't want people to know about. I guess
goes to show you, how much
it's disgusting.
It is how much the American people have been taught to hate themselves, to expect nothing. And this is the problem, too, because government, we're supposed to expect something. That's why, ideally we would pay our taxes and send our representatives to to represent us. And there would be an equitable distribution of services and things that actually make democracy run. And that's why the Democrats have to run on that, the infrastructure of democracy. It's not just the Department of Education. It's not just the Department of Labor or the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Or FEMA or NOAA or the Weather Service. These are the infrastructure of democracy, the infrastructure of freedom. That's what we're talking about, because you don't have to go out there and dig your own well and find your own water, or you get to turn on a tap and it comes out nice and clean. You don't have to worry about parasites. Same thing with your food, things like that. We have tried to manage Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so that will unleash prosperity and decent lives for the blip of time that we're here. That's what you hope. Where you can go get an education. That's why, everything about the Republicans make me, sick. They make the country sick. That's what's even worse.
Do.
Yeah.
And they profit from the country being sick, which is worse.
Yep.
So they're preying on us instead of praying for us. Oh, anyway, your thoughts and prayers don't do shit. Right? And I've had this conversation over and over with people. Like, you want to believe in a higher power, fine. Do not let it blind you to the reality that we all live in. However, it should never be a crutch or an excuse. And it's so, like, when people talk about Donald Trump being spared by God at the assassination in Butler, but other people died.
The guy behind him,
the firefighter.
Yeah.
So God thinks more of Trump than a firefighter?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up with
it's
all of it.
They're horrible.
Hypocrisy, especially when you get someone like Speaker Jesus Freak Mike Johnson, who has nothing but prayer closets full of porn in his house.
Oh yeah,
right?
He's right? a closet case. If every gay turned purple, he would look like a Teletubby. There's no doubt.
Oh my!
Because I mean, him and his wife. Could you imagine him just ravaging her? Forget about it. No.
Have you seen it's like the picture of Josh Hawley kissing his wife, where they're both like,
they're both like
these two lipless freaks who don't want to actually touch.
Ew.
They're so.
There's something wrong with them. Yes.
Well, they're something about Republicans. Or Christian people who are fundamentalist Christians or whatever are obvious. Well, and no one's born believing anything or hating anyone, and definitely aren't born with shame about your body. Somebody teaches you to feel shame if you have a sexual urge that you display, that you want to, puberty. Robin Williams had a joke, puberty, because he called his penis Mr. Happy. He's like, puberty is when nature says, it's time to shake hands with Mr. Happy. So, and that's masturbation is natural and normal and healthy and good and safe. And it also enables you, when you are ready to share your body with another human being, you can say to that person, this is what my body responds to. This is what I like. This is how I feel safe in this naked situation with you.
Well, it's
I'm saying
part
this
of control, that's part,
as memory served, right? And there are Republicans who aren't taught that. They're taught that it's shameful.
Yeah, exactly. Like Mike Johnson and his son.
Right. Right. Sharing the porn app for accountability, or
like your teenage son is not supposed to masturbate, and you're going to monitor that. I mean, how fucked up is that? Really?
Listen, I'll pay the higher water bill because the kid's taking a longer shower. I'm good with that, right? That's fine. That's better than saying don't do it or else you'll grow hair.
Or you'll burn in hell. Like God doesn't care
Jesus is watching you jerk it.
Right.
No,
God doesn't care that you are taking Medicare or you're taking the food out of the mouths of hungry children, just that you touch your pee-pee. Of all the mysteries of the universe, they have a very small God. That's what I always say. Their God is just curiously a bigger, giant version of themselves, of their own puny selves. That's really
right,
it.
Because who do you think is hearing? Like, it's like the same. Like I always ask people, you know how when you think about your shopping list, okay, I got to get eggs, I got to get milk, I got to get bread. That's literally the same thing as praying. Do you think the milk and the eggs and the bread are going to magically show up in front of you? No, you have to get up and get out of your house and go get them. You're just thinking, prayers are just thinking, oh, I wish this doesn't happen. That's not going to make it not happen or happen.
Right.
Your private head thoughts, you're the only one that knows about them unless you decide to share them. Hello. So, and that's fine. And I'll leave people alone if they're respectful about it, right? Like Joe Biden doesn't force his religion on anyone, and Stephen Colbert doesn't force his religion on anyone. They find it enriches their lives, and their faith has brought them comfort in dark times. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about the straightforward hypocrisy here, where you're in the act of making sure Americans die because you're taking away the health care that would keep them alive.
I know.
That's cruelty. That's mass murder. That's telling people we're not going to test vaccines is deliberate. It's a deliberate action to hurt someone. So why you would vote for someone to kill you, that's a weird political tactic to me. But, again, we're thinking, feeling considerate humans here at the Political Voices Network, which is, what Hal says, our friend Hal Sparks says over and over again. But bringing it back to the topic at hand. Donald Trump raped little girls procured for him by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And nothing a MAGA person says, prays for, tweets, nothing will make that less true.
Yep.
The distractions that they're trying to create today with the farm stuff, it's almost laughable.
Farm stuff. They should be worried about what's going on in Texas. And,
they're not. They don't care.
Farm. Oh, my God.
You know why? And this was perfectly pointed out in E. Jean's book, To Circle Back. Donald Trump didn't show up in court the second time because he felt bad about what he did to her, or he had proof proving he didn't do that to her, or because he was worried about anything specific regarding the case. He was worried about having to pay. He was worried about the money it was going to cost him. And that is where it lands for every last Republican. You mentioned Murkowski and what Alaska would get.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a gift to Democrats that we should run with this and run and never let them forget about
never
this.
let it go. Well, you got to be like a dog on a chicken bone with this, you know?
You all know this. We have said this before. Donald Trump does not want to have to answer any questions that he doesn't like, especially when he can't answer them, and he will use. He's just like, what? You cannot show video of Pam Bondi saying, "Yep, that's the list is on my desk," and then video where it's like it doesn't exist. Which is it, biatch? Which is it, biatch? What
she's confident in the ignorance of the Republican followers to just fall in line. They will fall in line. Right. That's the truth.
But which side will they fall? Because there are enough people like your Laura Looney Loomers who are like, this is bad. This, don't you dare fucking lie to me. And it's like, all he's been doing is lying to you, but now maybe you'll come to the realization.
No, they'll never. They'll never.
Guess what? What does that one say? If Epstein didn't even have a motherfucking list, what the fuck y'all been? Okay, so
stringing
first of all,
us along for 6 goddamn years. Yes. These are all maggots here.
The Laverne Spicer account is run by a white man. Laverne Spicer is a black woman, but she does not run that account. Oh yeah, no, she doesn't run that account.
Who is Laverne Spicer anyway?
She ran for office in Florida as a Republican and lost bigly.
And now her account is being run by some white dude, which I'm not surprised.
I don't remember who it is, but it's like Benny Johnson or one of those guys. It's one of those guys, okay? So, and anything about being a black woman, it's a white man who is running this account. I want everyone to know that. Everyone needs to know that. But like, look at someone like Robbie Starbuck, who blocked me forever ago. It's just everyone. They're so close to figuring it out.
They'll never figure it out, though. You're too.
But they're like this close.
Gracious.
They're this close because they're like, if he was doing this.
Wait.
So
it's like.
So Epstein was trafficking these undergirls to nobody. These underage girls to nobody. Ghislaine Maxwell is sitting in prison for no reason.
Right.
He didn't procure. She didn't pimp it. She wasn't his pimpette and bringing them little. Yes, she was. Why? If she's an innocent woman, why is she sitting in jail? But wait a minute. If she's an innocent woman, how come when she went to prison for this, Donald Trump said what? I wish her well.
Exactly.
I wish her well.
If that's a hoax, then, maybe the other hoaxes aren't hoaxes, like the Russian interference in the 2016 election. That's real and well documented. In fact, the Senate Commission or whatever, they had this bipartisan Senate investigation concluded that it was sweeping and systemic, that the efforts to interfere in the election and infiltrate, I should say, the Trump campaign, because it's not a hoax. It's a that's another thing that Trump lies about. Of course,
he lies about everything.
Yeah, so it's the hoax is still it's not a hoax. Okay,
where
are we going?
Because I want to see the responses to this tweet from Robbie Starbuck because I'm blocked by him because he asks, "What do you think?" What do you think? Oh, Gunther Eagleman, who's like, "What are you?"
I don't even know what that is.
It
looks like I'm. Oh, he's a maggot. I muted him.
Oh, that's another one that has me blocked. Are we being lied to? Are you being lied to by Donald Trump?
Where does it say, are we being lied to? Does it in his
Gunther
tweet?
Eagleman's response.
Oh, okay.
So it says, how do you feel? And then
I see.
Are we being lied to? And Robbie Starr was like, I think so. Really?
I think so.
Do you think you're being lied to? Jesus Christ. Hello. For a decade, you've been lied to. See, and they're so close to figuring this out. Somebody is going to say, somebody is going to put all together. If he lied to us about the Epstein files, what else did he lie about?
Right, but I wonder, will it be that they think that he only lies about his raping underage girls, or is everything else? How do they believe this shit anyway? How do they? I mean, about, let's say, the Russia hoax, because all you got to do is Google it. It's not a hoax. Or the 2020 election, the bullshit that he keeps. Yeah, that's it. And every other lie that he tells.
Right. So, because of the cult mentality.
They just choose
they
not
are
to believe
dug
it.
in. They have made choices about what is real and what is
That's
not.
right.
And now they don't know what to think, because part of their brain believes that part of their brain understands that the Epstein client list is real. They know it's real. They know Epstein Island is real. They know Donald Trump is in videos with Jeffrey Epstein, but they want to believe that of all of the people he associated with, only Trump was the one who had a moral compass. No, and that is not
Incredible.
true. Somebody tweeted to me that Trump worked with law enforcement to get Jeffrey Epstein.
He was like playing both sides. He was
no, Donald Trump
double agent.
Work with law enforcement.
No.
Donald Trump made sure Bill Barr got Epstein in prison, and then there is a significant amount of video. There's like a full minute and a half of the video circulating. He's in his cell. All of a sudden, he's hanging in his cell.
Right.
There's a minute and a half lapse in the video.
Right.
What does that say?
This is a lie straight from hell. The disturbing thing is, I know the POTUS knows what's going on, and that cuts me to the bone. You
and
poor
Epstein
baby.
Didn't kill himself. I think we all know that.
Cuts me to the bone.
I think we all know, and it's also interesting that Ghislaine Maxwell is actually still alive, because I think everybody was watching.
Oh, true.
But I also think that she has cameras on her cell, and
she's a woman. They could discredit her, so you know.
Well, I mean,
and
but she's still there,
right?
And also, Trump could have pardoned her and didn't.
That's true. He could have.
So,
but I guess
I wish her well. I wish her well is a message saying, if you don't spill, I won't have you suicided. I think that's what that meant. That's what people at the time believed, because he did not say she's where she belongs.
Look at this
she's
shit.
Finally being punished.
Awakened patriot. Fuck you. You're not a patriot, and you're not awakened.
We the people will never get justice. Do you want justice, really? Then Donald Trump should be in prison. That's justice.
Yeah.
Right? That's
everybody's
justice.
Picking on him, though. Don't you get it? Everyone just is hoaxing him. So many hoaxes. He just can't handle it. But all because the forgotten men and women will be forgotten no more. I mean, right?
Let me tell you.
Ew, that's gross.
An innocent person would run.
Yeah.
Run. And say, oh no, none of this is true, and here is my proof showing that none of this is true. Here's where I actually was on this day. Here is this, here is that. You would have had all of this cleared up already so that we wouldn't be talking about it now. Okay?
American Patriot Press.
Pedos, sex trafficking, money laundering, it's all covered up by Donald Trump and his cohorts and his co-conspirators. Again, Donald Trump has not proven he's not all over the Epstein files. If you're not all over the Epstein files, release them unredacted, sit back and be smug. But you can't do that.
I hope this doesn't go away. I really, as far as the maggots.
We're not going to let it go. No, we're not. We're going to keep reminding them. They said this to you, and then barely 2 weeks later, they're saying the polar opposite, which is the truth. You don't know, because you haven't heard the truth in a decade.
Right.
You don't know what the truth is. You have decided that Donald Trump is the source of the truth. So if you have decided that the only truth that matters is whatever comes out of his mouth, then you should be demanding he personally release the Epstein files on the POTUS account. Here they all are. Look for my name. It's not there, except it's everywhere. Which is why you don't see it. Wow.
And thank you.
Show?
Yeah, thank you, Rose Blue, for your super chats. First off, Rose says, fuck all these soulless Repub monsters.
Yes,
Absolutely.
She does.
And then,
she does, and
minute she's gone, evidence will auto-leak. Yeah, that's
right.
Good.
You mean the minute Maxwell dies, we're going to hear.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get. I think that Democrats have already been trying to get the unredacted Epstein files, and I think that they'll keep pushing for it. Everybody, please, we are so excited. Thursday, E. Jean Carroll will be here, sandwiched beautifully in between the two of us. I'm going to wear red lipstick. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dress up for E. Jean because one of my favorite things in her book is the descriptions of what she wore.
I know. She's got a great style.
Oh, she's so stylish. She's so everything. I'm so excited.
My hero. I want to be her when I grow up, really.
Right? She's like a living New Yorker cartoon of fabulosity.
She's great.
Everything about her is admirable.
The
everything.
Strength, the courage.
A true American patriot is E. Jean Carroll.
Everything that maggots are not. Yeah, exactly.
That's right. We're grateful for you, everybody who joined us in the chat. Thank you, Jim, for being the bestest of all moderators. Please tell every single person that you know about the Tarot Show, specifically about Thursday, because we're going to get so much truth. It's such a perfect moment to have E. Jean with us at a time where people are talking about Trump being a rapist. It's great. It's just kismet and karma combining to make TNT even more dynamite on Tuesday.
That's going to be great.
If you have the wherewithal and the means, you see our Venmos on the screens. Being a freelance political person out here in the independent media, it's not always so profitable as much as you might think that we're making it hand over fist. We are not. So we are looking for your support because your support helps us rise to the top and cut through the bullshit that is being dominated on social media. So truth matters. Please share our socials and the Tarot Show with everybody that you know, because we want to get our biggest chat room yet. We did great with Malcolm Nance, brought the heat, but I want to know how many people we can get between Substack and YouTube. E. Jean should bring tens of thousands.
She should bring the house down.
I love it. I love it. It's going to be the best half hour. And we're going to get basically a half an hour with E. Jean on Thursday. So think about what you want to ask E. Jean, which is also the name of her Substack. And think about that, because what we'll do is we'll facilitate, we'll talk about the book and we'll talk to her, but we'll also facilitate some questions from the chat. So again, be here, and we're expecting her to call in right at 2/11. So we're going to probably start the Tarot Show a little bit earlier just to make sure that we are up and running and ready for her.
And everything's ready to go.
So ready. If you also can get a copy of Not My Type, I recommend that you do it immediately. It is available as an audio book that Devlin listened to, so you could hear Eugene's voice. And the way she uses language is delicious and amazing.
The way she tells the story.
I want to have a 7-hour lunch with E. Jean Carroll, and just the blurbs on the back of her book. Jamie Lee Curtis says, after this victory, there should be a law. E. Jean should never pay for lunch in any restaurant in any town in America.
Right.
These blurbs are the best. The final blurb on the back of the book, by the way, just shows you how much E. Jean Carroll has a wonderful sense of humor. I don't know who she is. Donald Trump from the defense table, just loud enough for the jury to hear. We are going to have so much fun.
What a dumb bastard he is. Oh my God.
I tell you.
So unreal.
It's a gift from the universe, the glory of E. Jean Carroll on Thursday. I can't wait. I want it to be Thursday already.
I know.
In any case, until
I feel like a kid
time,
on Christmas Eve here, you know?
Right? It's Christmas and Hanukkah all wrapped into one. I'm like, boom. All right, everybody, please sign up for our Substacks. Boost, enjoy. Don't forget about The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story. After you read Not My Type, read The Sound of Settling. I'm just saying.
Why not?
I'm just saying. And why not? And we'll
a palate
cleanser
we're gonna, after that, you know?
If you will. And that's what we're here for. We appreciate you all so much. And we'll see you on Thursday with our Shiro Eugene.
See you Thursday.